Top of the morning to you, or afternoon or evening, whenever you may be watching. My name is Scott. I represent the SL and Game Slam.
And I'm Austin.
And today we are embarking on the official first day, well, I guess Friday was the first day, but the first Saturday of garage sale / flea market season. Just wanted to film a quick intro. We did hit up the flea market before the intro just because there were a lot of cars there. We want to get our boots on the ground immediately. We will save pickups for later, but now we are making the rounds on some garage sales.
Yeah, there's not too much out here, but there's some stuff, so we're going to look around while we can.
Worth a look. So as you can see on the side of my face, it is very sunny, very nice day. So we're happy to be out regardless, and we'll keep everybody posted if we strike gold. So we're making the rounds here. We're mobile, a little shaky camera, but through the sweet talk of the Game Slam boys, we were at a sale. We asked if they had any old video game stuff. A woman was probably in her 30s. I think her mom or her mother-in-law was there too. And she mentioned that her husband, who was like taking a shower, eating breakfast, had some stuff in the basement, and he said something like nobody has these anymore, so that's why he didn't put them out. It seemed to have the tone of not that he wasn't looking to get rid of them, but like nobody wants this junk. So of course we said we want the junk, we need the junk. And she said, oh, what are you looking for? And I think I said Sega first, and she said we have some old stuff like Game Boy Advance. And we said yes, let's see it, we want to see it. And unfortunately she wanted to wait until her husband was out, or kind of had the buy off on it. But Austin gave her his phone number, and you said we're probably going to circle back regardless.
Yeah, so the way to do it is in a nice way, push and push and push, so you don't get the, oh, just give me your number. Like,
I was like, oh, let me wipe my forehead with this $20 bill. I'm so sweaty.
You got to stay there, and you got to try and get him to bring it out. Like I said, maybe you could just bring some of the stuff out. We could look at it and make you an offer, and you could go talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, it's all in the basement. No. And we just kind of fell on the spot where it was awkward unless we gave her the number.
Yeah. So we, at the end of the day, you got to be polite, and we're hopeful.
But what I told Scott was like, even though we exchanged numbers, like, I'm gonna circle back in half an hour anyways.
Unless we get like
pushy.
a firm no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a great idea. And so we started talking about if they do have a Game Boy Advance. Austin has dibs if it's a color he doesn't have. And I am very hopeful that there's a white GBA, because the story behind that is my original GBA was the white GBA. And the one I played the most was I believe Cobalt Blue is the official color name. Kevin had like the see-through blue where you can see like the different wirings and whatnot. But I had the Cobalt Blue, but that was after my white GBA. And what I remember happening to that, I didn't see it happen, but my parents had some sort of get-together with their friends. I don't know if it was like a Bible study group or something, and a lot of their kids were over, and I was probably 7 or 8 at the time, probably 8 years old, and so there were a lot of other young kids. And I just remember going up to my room and seeing my Game Boy Advance sitting in my fish tank. Like some kid put the GBA like in my fish tank. And of course you can see where this is going. It no longer worked, and I was heartbroken, and I pretty much cried until I got a Cobalt Blue GBA, which famously the select button was eaten off by Kevin's hamster. It still worked, it just was partially chewed off. But my goodness, if these people have a white GBA, I will be the happiest camper in all of Jellystone Park. So we're gonna keep rolling here.
So she actually just texted me. Someone pull over and read it.
Oh no!
It's not looking good.
No!
But
look how safe we are, people. We're parking. We're not. He didn't read that text while he was driving. We are going to safely park. And okay, what's the news?
my husband isn't ready to part with his old stuff yet, but he does have this, and it's a picture of an Xbox One S.
No.
So
they're gonna, and I don't think it's worth the drive.
For me, I would say let's go back and let's try and talk into seeing the stuff. The
Oh
old
boy.
stuff. It's probably not gonna pan out, but it could be awkward, but we're gonna do it anyway because it's for the games.
All right, people. This is why we make the big bucks. Let's see what happens. The boys are soldiering on here to 2nd and Charles as we continue, and where we left off, we're going to keep that in the dark a little bit, but
It worked out well.
yes, that is all we want to say for now. Is some magic did happen. The charm was worked. I think that was what I said. The Game Slam boys are going to work the charm.
Charm, persistence, a
All
little
the
bit of
above.
pushiness in a polite way.
The core values this country was founded on, all coalescing. So we will give the details of that later. But for now, I mean, it's been forever for me really browsing any store in general, besides like the grocery store or Meijer. So really just looking forward to walking around, looking at board games, video games, t-shirts, and if they happen to have something cool, we'll go from there, and might get a little footage too. So we're gonna keep the ball rolling. We're back from the hunt and have been well nourished with some Qdoba burrito bowls. So we kicked off at the flea market, as I said, and honestly, with today being my sort of season opener for game hunting, I was ready to just make a purchase that had decent value. I wasn't being extremely stingy. And so I walked by a table where a gentleman had one PlayStation 4 game, and I asked him what he was asking for it. He said $5. Normally I would throw out, hey, would you take 3? But I didn't have any singles on me. So I ended up picking up Call of Duty Black Ops 3 for $5. And not only that, but he did not have 5 George Washingtons to give me back for my $10 bill I handed him. So one of the dollars I got back was a Susan B. Anthony coin, and I don't know if I have any of those. So I'm sure I'm not rich because of it, but it was cool to get a unique coin. Mm-hmm. Similarly with my last purchase before the next store is we hit up a garage sale. Austin asked if they had any video game merchandise. They said no, except for this one Mario stylus pen. I asked them, will you take $1? They said yes, and that was the end of my garage sale flea market experience. Gonna hand off to this guy.
So at the flea market, it was like the first day that they were back, so it was mostly just like the people who sell every day. So we didn't really find anything too great, but there's this one booth that had a bunch of toys and a bunch of storage bins, and I didn't really want to dig through them. I probably could have found some good stuff, but there's a lot of people, and there's a lot of touching, which everyone is kind of sketchy on right now. But sitting on top, I found this Rodan little figure, and I asked the guy how much it was. He's like, $5. And then I just walked away and put it back, and he's like, you're putting it back? How much would you pay? I was like, I'll pay $3 for it. He's like, pay me $4. I want to pay $3, sorry. He's like, pay me $3.50. I was like, I don't have 50 cents, I'll pay you $3. It's like, come on, I gotta make a living. He's like, I'll pay you $3. So he said $3, and then I got it, and it's worth like 20 to 30-ish. So that'll be a good flip. I love finding all these Godzilla toys. I almost want to keep them half the time I find them.
Oh, absolutely. I was standing right next to them when they were negotiating. That was pretty awesome. I've been trying to reorganize, like, from a scenic standpoint, my game room a little bit and envision what that's going to look like. And one part of it I want to accent is strategy guides. I've just always been fascinated by strategy guides, even from just an art standpoint, especially for games that I really enjoy. And so I was looking for some cheap ones because most of theirs were $10 to $15. And for $5, I decided to pick up the Final Fantasy X2 strategy guide. So more for decoration purposes, but there is a lot of good content in here as well. So while I was browsing here, this man was looking at the more high dollar value.
I was looking at the heavies. So I went over. Okay, we'll rewind just a few days because I went my first trip to 2nd and Charles since they had reopened, and I got Pokemon White 2 for $37, and I used a $5 off coupon to get it to that price because it was at $40. But anyways, I grabbed that just to flip it so I could pay for something else.
And I was surprised to hear that that was a good flip because I don't think of DS games as carrying that much value, but it sounds like Black and White 2 are popping off.
Yeah, so you're still new to this, so you're learning all the prices and stuff. You just got to keep on top of it because they fluctuate a lot. And for like a long time, Black and White 2, then Pearl, Diamond, and Platinum, it's just been like a straight line on a graph like that. They've been rocketing, so just keep an eye out on your Pokemon games. And today, when we went, I went over to the case, and first thing I saw was Chrono Trigger. They had that for $70, which is
$69.95.
killer price, all the same. So I was looking at that, and I was just going to see what Scott was doing. I was doing some more browsing, and I had already gotten this. I had gotten them to go put it at the front counter, is what I meant to say. So it was safe, it's mine, and I can go check out whenever. So we're browsing around a little bit more, seeing some other games, nothing I really want to pick up. So then I go back over to the case because I had seen some other stuff. I was like, I mean, these are good deals too, but I'm about to drop $70 on that. So I also saw Pokemon Crystal for $25, and that is a killer deal.
Perhaps the greatest handheld game ever made, in my opinion.
So what I tend to do is look for games priced $25 or higher because they have $5 coupons that you can use if you're spending at least $25. So I like to do it like in a single run, but at this point in time,
spend money to make money.
People are like getting out, and if I left it for a day, it'd be gone. So I kind of just had to throw that in with my Chrono Trigger. So I could only use one coupon on that.
So he thought.
So here's the idea is I buy Chrono Trigger and Crystal, and then I get a receipt so I can fill out their survey to get another coupon. And then I send that coupon to Scott so he can use $5 off to get me a Pokemon Heart Gold. So I got $10 off to get those 3 games. So that was a great deal.
All very high ceilings for flipping.
I was really surprised to see those there because I was just there the other day and it looked like they hadn't gotten anything in since they closed. So it was a nice surprise.
Caught slipping. Always feels good to catch the corporate suits slipping. And finally, to close the loop on the story we've sprinkled throughout earlier in this video, the stop we made where the husband was away, the text Austin got that we then revisited and teased, we were able to make a deal.
It's been an amazing, amazing journey today, and I'm gonna take the deal.
And first of all, I gotta give the credit where it is due to the man behind the wheel for swerving and getting us back there, because I don't know if I would have gone back. And I don't think it's worth the drive.
I've been doing this for about 5 years, and I've kind of picked up just some subtleties to act on when you're trying to negotiate these deals. You got to be a little pushy sometimes, which it's uncomfortable to do. You just got to learn how to do it and when to do it. Yeah, so we're on our way back after we get the text, and we're trying to hatch up, like, what plays are we going to make? So I think it was Scott's idea to, like, just show some interest in the Xbox One that the guy wanted to sell. So I was like, yes.
And it had, like, NBA 2K on the cover. I was like, oh, yeah, I really like basketball. Let me look at this. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile...
So that was just kind of to get him comfortable with us browsing his stuff. So we get there. I send Scott over to the system to check it out. And I look at the guy. I'm like, hey, is there any chance at all we could take a look at the other video game stuff that you have? Because this is our last stop of the day. We haven't bought any video game stuff at all, so our wallets
My pocket's
are packed.
really heavy with all this money.
So then he was just kind of like, oh, he's a little apprehensive, like, then I think his wife was kind of pushing him, like, yeah, go. And then he went in to find some stuff, and then his wife looked at me, and she's like, thank you for pushing him to sell this stuff. I was like, I'm so happy we're on the same team. And just some charming talk while he was in there looking for stuff, just trying to show that we're friendly, decent people. And then he comes out and he's got a bag of stuff, and we start going through it.
Drop the bag.
So this is where we'll insert just a picture of everything laid out.
So we see all of this merchandise, and immediately this is where his expertise comes in of forming, okay, what would I pay for this? Separate the sports titles. We don't really want those. What are the high dollar value items?
So
I'm more just supporting the conversation at this point.
So we start talking, and he wants to know, like, why do you want my games? Are you resellers? Like, I actually collect games for fun, but I didn't say, oh, I got to resell them on the side too.
And I was like, oh man, no, I work in an accounting firm. I've just been playing some games while I'm working from home.
So he's bringing the stuff out, and he's like, okay, what is this stuff worth? So my first thing to point out to him is like, so these sports games, they're like penny games. They're not really worth that much. There are some sports games that are worth some money, I'm being honest with him. But these ones, they're not worth too much.
A lot of NBA Live and football games.
So I'm just trying to guide him with the conversation. We start looking at some other stuff. So I'm just trying to get him to think in the back of his head. It's like, what do you want to get for this stuff? And I think he's expecting me to give him a price, but I want him to name the price because it's the safer way for me to get the best price, because I can always counter his price if I think it's too high. But I also don't want to offer him too low and him get upset, or offer him too high and be like, really, you'd pay that?
And during this time, like I said, I made a little conversation. He had a Game Boy Advance, and I was like, oh, I remember when I had this as a kid, and my brother's hamster bit the select button off. I think I said that when we were in the car earlier, so it was funny how that story came up again. And also, there was a certain Game Boy Color game that I had the N64 game, and I was like, oh, I've played that before. So just more pleasant conversation while the meat of the negotiations were going on.
Yeah, so we're just subtly guiding the conversation to where we want it to be and working the charm. And we get to the point where it's like, okay, what do you want for it? And he's like, I don't know. Does 60 sound fair? So then, to me, 60 is a really good price. I was thinking about offering him 80 for it all. And I didn't want him to think that he had just offered me a too low of a price. So I turned to Scott and I was like, hey, do you think 60 is a good price? He said, yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
So-
oh yeah, let me see. Oh, this stuff looks pretty clean and like it would work. So yeah, I think that makes sense.
So then we took it.
It's been an amazing, amazing journey today, and I'm gonna take the deal.
We held it together and then we got in the car and we were like, oh! So now to show you what the haul was. But first, before that, we had to split this up. And that was not the easiest thing for either of us to do because I know my man here is used to getting all of the fruits of his labor.
Yeah, I go solo and I pretty much get everything I want. I don't have to split it up, but it's more fun to go with friends, and I want him to build up a collection. I'm one who, I've said this before in other videos, like I've laid a trail of breadcrumbs for him to follow to join me over here on collecting.
Yeah, and because of that, he was very fair with letting me take the parts of the lot that were not in my collection already. So I was the recipient of the Game Boy Advance SP, mostly because I have never owned a Game Boy Advance SP. Back in that era, I went straight from the GBA to the Nintendo DS. It was just something that at the time I thought was kind of a money grab, which is funny now thinking of how bad I wanted one in today's age. But I'm very happy. It's in excellent shape. Even the back labeling is not worn off at all. And I also got another handheld console I never had, the PlayStation Portable. There's our reflection. And my brother had one of these, and it really was the first console of any sort that we didn't both get one. I don't know if he might have just saved up for it and bought it back in those times, but I've never had a PSP. Just recently got into the PlayStation arena myself. And although the battery pack is probably not going to work, the one from the sale, we're still very happy for the value we got all these things for. And with that, I will let you show your top items.
So I got this Game Boy Advance,
Which is the
battery
same
cover.
color I used to have. Or I think
Yeah.
I still have.
I got Mario 64, so that is great.
And Mario 64 is worn a little on the back, but still in great shape.
Tetris, and we had to kind of figure out who was going to get this one because we were at the tail end of splitting it up. But I got Super Mario Advance 3. And then I ended up taking the 64 and controller. No expansion pack, unfortunately.
But it did have both chord sets. And you're probably thinking from what I showed and he showed that maybe he had a couple more items. I forgot to mention NFL Street 2 was in the PlayStation Portable. That's like a $12 game right there. And also a couple other, we'll say mid-tier items that I got to add to my collection. Super Mario Land, as well as the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for Game Boy. And I would say a mint condition copy of Cruisin' USA, which is a phenomenal N64 game. So the last piece was the junk of the bundle, and just for pricing evenness, it ended up being better to go in my possession. And what's going to work out great from this is whenever we go to a disc replay, any sort of game store, this will just be straight up trade credit for me besides the ones that I keep. We have baseball for the Game Boy, Rugrats in Paris Game Boy Color, All-Star Baseball 2000, a couple sports titles 64 games. We have Wayne Gretzky Hockey, NBA Live 99. There's Antoine Walker on the Celtics. Used to have that game on the PC back in the day. And NFL Quarterback Club 200, Tiger Woods PGA Tour Golf for the GBA, Madden 2003 for the GBA, Bugs Bunny, Game Boy. Last 3 games are Madden 2004, a couple Madden games there, Driver for the Game Boy Color, and the last game is NFL football for the Game Boy. So like I said, we called that the junk, but in evening that up, we were both pretty happy, shook hands, and called it a day. We're both only into that $30 each.
Most of the stuff I got, it's all doubles for me. And right now I'm trying to just build up a lot of doubles that I can flip, because on eBay I bought a Holy Grail, which I need to pay off using this stuff. So otherwise, there's no way I'm gonna find that Grail at a garage sale. So this is the best way to do it.
We also got this Game Boy bag, which if you've been watching us for a long time, I got one of these bags like 4 years ago. And that was what he kept his handheld games in. But like I said, a lot of this is going to be added to my collection, which I'm happy with. And also just having the story, the full story come together, where we were so sure this wasn't going to work out, and then it ended up working out for a very reasonable price. It got us hype for really the rest of the season.
I was pretty sure it would work out. I'm pretty confident in my abilities because I do this all the time.
You said that because we gave the phone number instead of just coming back, that you thought it might not.
It's probably not going to pan out, but it could be awkward, but we're going to do it anyway because it's for the games.
It might not, but I'm confident in my abilities that if I do go back there, I can get something going.
Yeah, and overall it was just a lot of fun too. So we're really happy with our pickups and are gonna continue, I'm sure, going on more sales as more sales continue to pop up. And with that, I think we'll wrap it up here and see everybody next time. Game Slam signing off.
It's been an amazing, amazing journey today, and I'm gonna take the deal.
And I don't think it's worth the drive.